guys, welcome back. So I rescued these lovely beauties last summer, and they needed a lot of work on the top. So but they were nice and sturdy, so I just started with the basics. So once I had removed all of the chipping finish and got a nice clean finish, I used my CleanSlate to start to remove any buildup and grease and dirt that was at the bottom of the piece. And so I'm just putting a little bit on a rag and just wiping everything down to prep it for paint. Look at that speed. Okay, so once I had washed everything down and cleaned everything down, I turned my piece upside down as always, and always tapes off the bottom of the piece to ensure you have you don't have a lot of drip marks, and it just looks so much cleaner. And so right here I am putting on 2 coats of primer. Of course, I'm always using a small brush to cut in and then blending everything out with a small roller to prevent any kind of drip marks and puddles of paint that can occur if you use too much paint at one time. Hey guys, I'm just coming in to show you how you can tell when you have bleed through. So you see these little dots, those are minor spots of bleed through. This is 2 coats of primer, and I kind of felt like it was gonna bleed through a little bit, so that's why I went ahead on and did 2 coats of primer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let it dry. I have 2 coats on. I'm going to let it dry thoroughly, and then I might have to just hit this area because it seems to be only on this table. Hit this area with a little bit of spray shellac just to be on the safe side so nothing comes through. Okay, so I have just finished putting on the sealer on this piece because as you can see, there is areas, wait 1 minute, there are areas that are brown, you know, because this was turned upside down. So as I'm painting, and I just said, let me just put a little sealer on here just in case it turns. And as I'm painting, can you see the tips of my brush? It's turning. So I'm going to have to do this with the other one too when I flip that one over, and I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to give it another coat of the Amy Howard at Home matte sealer. So that's what I'm using right now. So you can see that it's bleeding through already. So I'm going to let this dry thoroughly and put another coat on of the matte sealer. Okay guys, so I have finished the coats of the LuxeGrey one-step paint at the bottom, and the next step that I'm going to do the top, and I'm going to be using Vintage Wood Better with Age. This is also an Amy Howard product. It is not a stain. What it does is it has like a reaction to the wood. So that's what we're going to try to see, you know, what the reaction is. The more tannins you have in your wood, the darker and the more you know, like the more color you get. If you don't have a lot of tannins in the wood, then you won't get a lot of color. So we are going to see, you know, exactly where this lies. I did a test before, and it's back here. So I know it will stain it a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to give it enough contrast for the bottom. So we will continue. And yeah. Oh, how you apply this is you just take a brush and you lay it on top. You brush it on top and you just let it sit and soak into the wood and dry. And then we'll be back. So I'm going to let that dry for a while because I want to make sure everything is dry. I want to make sure it soaks in everything. And then I'll see if it's dark enough and if I'm going to do a glaze on top. I have let the Better with Age completely dry, so you can see that it's like a soft gray tone. The more tannins you have in your wood, the more chemical reaction it will have. I'm going to do a Goodman, it's hard to find, glaze. So I have made up my Goodman is hard to find glaze, and I'm going to put that over it. What I'm looking for is more of a grayer tone. So like I told you, this is my sample boards, the samples that I made. This was it. This is just the Better with Age. This right here is Better with Age and the glaze and Cerusing wax, and this one is Better with Age, a black glaze, and Cerusing wax. Me, I like that grayish tone with the table. I think will be good. You can paint this on. I'm gonna dab it because that's what I did with the sample. I used a rag and rubbed it on. So that's what I'm gonna do. There we go. And I'm going in the direction of the wood. And you have to work kind of fast with this glaze. You don't want it to dry on you. I'm gonna let that soak in, and we're gonna see where we are. So we are back, and yes, this is doing exactly what I wanted it to do. It's giving a restoration hardware kind of feel. It's nice and rustic. It's a little grayer than it was. You can see the difference in when you have the Better with Age underneath and how it helps when you put the glaze on top of it. It is just wonderful. I really love it. Cerusing wax is a white wax, so it's going to make this top even lighter, but it's still going to have some of that gray tone underneath. So now we're going to be using the Cerusing wax to coat everything. So I'm just going to show you the way I've been doing it. I've already done the inside. I just take a little bit of Cerusing wax. This is really my board that I offload on. And then I'm going to start up here, so I'm just really doing this. Okay, I put that on. Then I take a little steel wool and I remove most of it because I want it to get in the grooves, but I don't want it to be just a white chalky piece. And so I just take off some with my steel wool. It's 4/0, that means 40, the finest. Okay, let's do another one. Take a little bit of Cerusing wax, offload it. I'm gonna do in here. You can see that it's pretty white. I like to do it like this so I can get down in these crevices because that's where I want the white to be. Okay, so you can see the white in here. Take your steel wool, and I'm just doing this so it will take some of it off, but it'll still have a little bit of like, you can see the gray peeking through and the white on top. And I will still come back and buff this out with this. You can actually buff it out now and take as much off as you want, and this is going to give you your high shine. So I just want to pop in and let you see the difference with the glaze and then the Cerusing wax on top. Of course, you know, this is the Cerusing wax on top. That is just the plain glaze. Now, you could even stop at the glaze part if you want to stop at the glaze. I would definitely maybe use a matte sealer on it to protect it from, you know, water and stuff. This is not resistant, it repels water. It is not waterproof, okay? So it does repel water. I tested it on my board, so it repels water. It is not waterproof. So you can't just leave water sitting there for hours and hours at a time and think that it won't have any effect. Okay, so we'll be wrapping this up. Okay guys, here is the finished product. I love these. The finish on these came out so wonderful. It's so easy finish and it looks so expensive. So thank you guys for joining me. Subscribe and follow, like, leave a comment, and create and enjoy. This is Zita with Second Gaze Restoration.